Morning, but you know, we just will need them at some point.
Well, this is our Monday, Tuesday. What are we going into the 3rd week of April?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, gosh. This is how we get at the end of the day. This is retail. It is bicycle retail, and it's springtime, and the weather's absolutely gorgeous. Now, we close on Mondays because I like giving my employees 2 days a week off, and we need it. You know, so Alana and I might look a little brain dead right now, but if you could see what we've gone through today, and it's all been nice people. You know, I mean, we have had some instances where there's Steve. How you doing, Steve? Steve really had to deal with it being the mechanic. And see, the way we're set up, we have 2 buildings here, so a lot of times the mechanics get to stay in the back and just work on bikes, but Steve actually has to filter out the customers. And right now we have a lot of customers that want immediate service. I think that they think bike shops just have multiple mechanics. You can't find multiple mechanics. The bicycle mechanic is a dying industry, and that's one of the reasons I try to treat my mechanics really good. I value them, and I want other people to value them. You know, and it does seem like most of the people that are buying bike shop quality bikes in the first place don't have a whole lot of emergencies. You know, because they're buying a better product. But it's always a department store or Amazon customer that has that emergency right away. But that's also the customer that doesn't respect our time or our money. You know, they bought something cheap, so they just want it fixed cheap, and they're the first ones that say, it's just this, can you fix it? So we're, at the moment, we're doing a minimum $50 to touch your bike. Now, to me, like we had a customer that lost their seat today, brand new bike. I'm not gonna tell you what department store they bought it out of, Target, but they, you know, their seat bolt fell off within a few minutes of riding, and I said, look, if your seat's falling off, there's probably some other things that are loose. So for the $50, we are gonna give you a safety check. We did a safety check on one bike today, Steven's bike. The whole crank was coming out of it. Of course, he had a problem with his brake lever, he thought, but his crank was coming out. So for that minimum charge, we probably saved him quite a bit of money in the bottom bracket being worn out or something. So.
Yeah, and he's a very frequent rider. I mean, he rides hours every day.
Hours. So. But you know, in the big picture, working in the bike shop's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess with a lot of industries, maybe even in the restaurant industry, when you get a rush, everybody comes at once.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to train people in the winter time when we're twiddling our thumbs to maybe start bringing the bikes in. A bicycle repair normally doesn't expire. You know, maybe air in the tires, stuff like that, but that's stuff that we can give customer education with, and they can do it themselves, and we're happy to do that. But if you're looking at Alana and I right now going, what the heck did these two go through today? They work in a bike shop. That's supposed to be fun, and it is fun, but we're short-staffed. You know, we run a lean staff right now just because, you know, I mean, the economy's tight. So I wish we could afford to have a few of us, but really there's not many bicycle professionals left.
Well, we've got a great crew.
We have a great crew. We all get along.
You know, most of our customers are awesome.
And we don't want to sour the pot with putting someone in that is maybe not really employable. You know, they might know bikes, but they're not employable, and their timeline is short, so they get frustrated with customers quick. Like Alana and I can kind of deal with it most of the day. We do have a lot of people that use the phone. You know, so you want that buying experience of the brick and mortar, but nowadays I think you're so used to picking up the phone. We get people that Google our phone number and then ask us where we're at.
Yeah.
You know, and that does take time away from the customers that we're in front of. You know, so it's a weird situation. We want to be helpful. I hear Alana, if there's no one in the showroom and someone's on the phone, you've been on the phone for 45 minutes talking about stuff, but it really is. We prefer people to come in and see us. You know, we've got a cute shop. We love to, you know, show people bikes. We can't see someone's size. You know, people call out a kid's bike and tell us what age the kid is. Not like, hey, they're 3'2" or 65 centimeters, you know? Don't fact check me on my math right there. But, you know, it's hard to tell a kid's size by its age.
Hey, I think we got some folks.
Oh, gosh, look at this. Alana, I'll let you go, but thank you for hanging in there with me today. This is an awesome bicycle shop, an awesome community, and we've got a community ride going right now held by the city. This is the Biloxi City Ride. It's called Bike Biloxi. People get it confused with Biloxi Bicycle Works. I can see why. But there's Bike Biloxi right there. What's up, guys? Hey, man, good to see you. What's up, Roderick? Hey, Murphy, what's happening, everybody? Corey, Christy in the house. What's happening, guys? Good to see everybody out riding bikes and smiling, enjoying the community. Thank you, Biloxi PD, for rolling. Looking good on that bike. Man, that's what makes it good, Alana. You know, we got the community on bikes. We got a supportive city. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff. And Alana's cute, so I get to work with Alana, you know, which is cool. Alana, I rode my bike to work today and showed up all sweaty, and Alana didn't even complain.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
We had the door open. There was a breeze.
Yeah, there's a breeze. I thought I heard you fart once.
No, I didn't do that.
Oh, maybe that was
today.
me.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I farted. I made some beans.
Oh, see, I didn't do that today.
See, that's the advantage of owning a bike shop. We can be real. Yeah, so.
It took us a while to get a report this kind of wrong.
I did like that customer that came in with a total matching outfit.
Yeah.
And she bought a special edition of, it was a department store bike, but it was an Anne Frank.
No. It was Kate Spade.
A Kate Spade bike. And she had some style to her. Like, she was a matching outfit with a Kate Spade bike. We did have to tell her it was a minimum fee of $50. That was a customer that lost the seat.
Yeah.
You know, and really, I would have felt bad. I would have felt much better bringing that bike in and doing a safety check for her.
Yeah.
On that bike. So, you know, $50 doesn't go very far when you're talking about a mechanic's labor, overhead, time, stopping what you're doing at that moment. You know, so I might be working on a wheel, replacing a spoke or something. You can even lose a bolt in a matter, and then trying to find a bolt in the time. I saw Dan picking through the garbage earlier. Oh, that was for a packing slip. So all that stuff takes time. But in the end, it was a good day in the bike shop. Biloxi Bicycle Works is awesome. The community of Biloxi is awesome. And I'm going to go in there and lock the door and get some accounting done before anybody else comes in. So thanks for hanging with me, Alana. You're awesome.
Trying.
I'll be a little bit late tomorrow morning.
Okay.
But I'll be here for the afternoon because you get a haircut, don't you?
At some point.
Yeah, Broussard's Barbershop. Another big bonus of being in Biloxi. I'll try not to be too long. I do have one meeting in the morning.
Okay.
All right. So, and look at a beautiful sunset. We're a block off the beach. Like, it's so cool to maybe shut down the shop at 6 o'clock, 6:15 as an owner, sit back here and do a little bit of accounting, and then just walk down to the beach and check out the sunsets on Biloxi Beach are amazing. It's a cool bike. I like the Trek FX2. I have a customer who used to own a bicycle shop. He sold Specialized, but he just had some knee surgery, and he wasn't quite ready for a road bike yet, and he just wanted a real decent hybrid style fitness bike, and the Trek FX2 is that hybrid style fitness bike. And this bike is on sale. It's got the new Q's transmission. I know we just went through Trek Fest, but I believe this bike was like under $600. Awesome. I mean, it's a good value. I've got a customer picking up 4 Electra Cruisers tomorrow. Oh, you know what? I got to go install these things so you can pull a kid trailer and a tow behind. We had a lot of people talking about e-bikes today. The e-bikes went up, so on the IMAs, and you guys know I'm a big fan of IMA as far as a big hub drive bike with a throttle on it. I actually have, I have a really good communication with IMA's amazing. I'm having to buy some parts for a customer right now, and they had an unfortunate accident and, trashed some parts, and I can get parts. Like, they communicate with me and are really quick about sending parts. I really like this bike. This is a Electra Go. This is the Step Over Go. I like this bike's masculine looking, gray and black. It has a little integrated 250 watt battery and a high-end 250 watt motor in the back. That just looks like a cruiser, It is a cruiser, but a cruiser with a little bit of assistance. So anyway, I'm not going to walk around the showroom and show you all the bikes and talk about the bikes. It's the bicycle industry. I think we have to retrain people a little bit, but when you have a cute little shop and a nice staff, it's easy to look at someone, especially like I had to look at that customer today and say, I know you just lost a bolt, but there's a $50 minimum charge on that. And I said, you bought it from a department store, and we always find something else other than that bolt. Like as a fiduciary responsibility, when you have it on the bench and you see the fork is backwards, or the headset is loose and the bearings are falling out of it, or the crank is loose, or what's worse is sometimes we see a stripped out pedal and it's just hanging in by a thread. You know, stuff like that. You get the pedal and the next thing you know, your pedal falls off in the middle of traffic. Like, I can't think of a time when a brand new department store bike has come in and I haven't had to do extra work to it. I prefer not to work on department store bikes, but you know, this is downtown Biloxi, Mississippi, and I do like to get people on bikes. So it's something that, you know, some of the other bike shops don't do that, you know, we will, but a lot of times it's a lost leader for us. We are spring, we've had a lean winter, and right now is peak tune-up season. And that's how we make peanut butter and jelly money. We can get these tune-ups done efficiently. We've got all the tools. My mechanics know what they're doing, and we do a good job at our tune-ups. But they do take time, and anytime you're interrupted with something, it takes time away from the job you're on. As a cost accountant, ex-cost accountant, I see how much that costs. So to me, to get someone that just walks in here, you know, they came straight from the department store, tried to ride their bike around the block once, and then they come to the bike shop. Well, you skip me in the first place. And I know, I guess you skip me in the first place with the purchase. I don't want that to be a strike against you, you know, so that's not a strike against you. You bought a bike at Target because I had a nice paint job and you thought it was the right size bike for you. But anyway, you don't bring it back to Target because you know they don't really know bicycles there. Well, why'd you buy your bike there in the first place? But that's beside the point. So you bring it in here. I know historically, as being a professional bike mechanic, those bikes are frustrating to work on. I'm working with inferior parts. I'm working with inferior tolerances that those parts are made from. And I'm also working with someone that bought that bike mainly because of price point. So they bought a bike that was cheap. I can say cheap when it comes to department store bikes. I don't say my bikes are cheap. Even at like a $600 price point, that's a very good value for that bike. You know, I've noticed the price on the department store bikes have gone up. I go through the aisle when I'm in the department stores, and I don't go to the department stores very often. So it's probably been 4 or 5 months since I've been into a department store. And I was probably running into, you know what I was doing? I was going to go buy a cooler at Academy Sports. God, I got a great deal on a cooler. But I did walk by the bicycle department. I think most of those bikes that used to be $100, $120 were $200, $220. So if you're going to spend $220, spend $5. Or go to a garage sale, go to a yard sale, go to a Facebook Marketplace and buy a Trek, a Cannondale, a Specialized, a Giant, something with some quality, even if it's a little bit older. I'd much rather see people on that than I would cheap department store bikes. So anyway, back to the customer. I can honestly look at them and say $50 is a fair price for me to touch your bicycle. I'm going to do more work to it than just replace that bolt in the seat. And to replace a bolt, I don't know what thread pattern it is. You know, I don't know. You lost the bolt, you probably lost the washer that goes behind the bolt. You know, so all that stuff takes time. If you think it's just taking a bolt off a shelf and screwing it onto that seat post binder, it's not, because especially with the department store bikes, there's so many different thread patterns and sizes, and it's like we use a lot of metric stuff on our bike shop quality bikes. It's pretty standard, but I've noticed that some of the, like this is I can look at it right now and say that that's a 15, you know, coarse thread, That's I shouldn't say a 15. It takes a 15 millimeter wrench. Now on a department store bike, that could be one of 10 sizes. So as I'm looking through little drawers of bolts, seeing if it fits and stuff, that all takes time. That's why one of the reasons department store bikes now have a $50 minimum charge. So anyway, enough rambling for now. That's what's going on in the bike shop. It really is a cool business. I just think we have to train people that the bicycle mechanics are valuable. Their time is valuable. We're valuable. If we don't treat ourselves valuable, how can we expect the general public to treat us? Now, like I said, the regular bicyclists that come in here, people that are cyclists, they treat us with respect, and I do appreciate that. A lot of times because they know how limited the world is right now on qualified bicycle technicians, especially ones that have a good attitude and treat people fairly. So it's so easy to get elitist. I ride with a lot of elitists. Sometimes I find myself being an elitist, but I got into this industry to work on dream bikes. That's the dream. Work on high-end bikes, do custom builds, people that have an unlimited budget and just want things done right. That's a dream. That's a dream. I had to tell this guy, this is a bike that's very important to him. It's been in his family for years. He's bought that bike, secondhand, but he's like 14 years old and he's now in his 50s, and that bike's been in his dad's attic. But when I told him for us to put that together and buy new parts, I said it was going to be about $1,500 to $2,000. Well, that's too much. It looks so cool hanging up there. The frame's bent. There's some problems with it. That bike new is probably $400 or $500. But yeah, this is 2025 and time is money. That bike was covered in axle grease. It took us at least 2 hours, if you think about it, 2 hours to clean that bike just to get it to where it's at. 2 hours of labor adds up, especially when you add shop rate to it. So to keep the lights on, to keep the mortgage paid, to keep the insurance, to keep all all the certificates and stuff to have a bicycle shop. I mean, if you think we're putting $200 in our pocket, we're making $100 an hour and we're putting that in our pockets, believe me, it gets whittled down. As the end, I'm where the buck ends. I'm the owner. So I see after all the overhead what's left over for the owner's comp. It's not bad if you could train people that were worth money. That and no one does their job for free. Now I love owning a bike shop. The coolest job. I would do this job for free if I was a philanthropist. If I had some hidden money somewhere and I just wanted a cool job, I would be right here in downtown Biloxi in this building doing this job for free, helping the community, having a blast. I do have to feed my family with this business, and all my employees, none of them are rich beyond their means. So, sometimes I'll joke around with a customer, and it's not really a joke, but they'll bring in something that they found on the side of the road and want us to fix it up. And, I'll walk over to my mechanic and I'll say, hey, Steve, this guy found this bike on the side of the road. Do you think you could take less per hour to work on it to help him out? And, it's a hard question for the mechanic to be face to face with, because he can't take less per hour just because the bike was found on the side of the road. But yet the person that found that bike on the side of the road, rather than taking the time to try to fix it themselves, bring it straight to the bike shop. Hey, can you fix this cheap? Because bicycle repair is supposed to be cheap. Not at Biloxi Bicycle Works, not at any bicycle shop that I know of that wants to treat their employees good and end up, I want to have a good life too. I do have a good life. The bicycle shop offers me a good life. It doesn't offer me high pay, and it might never offer me high pay, but I get benefits beyond pay. You can make a decent living at a bike shop. I have too much overhead currently, and that's the problem with Biloxi Bicycle Works at the moment. So as management, as an owner, I have made some mistakes, and I have too much overhead right now. I realize that, and I'm making corrections to try to correct that. I'm actually looking for a business partner, and a lot of people are asking me right now, hey, Bart, you've got Biloxi Bicycle Works up for sale. I do have it up for sale. It's on Facebook. It's on some other, I would love to stay involved with Biloxi Bicycle Works, but I before it gets too critical, I will at least want to throw a lifeline out there and see if I can get a business partner. I'd love to see someone come in and say, hey, Bart, I'd like to make you my business partner. Here's my offer. I might get someone that comes in and say, Bart, I'd like to buy the place, buy the business, and hire you as a manager or business developer. If someone could hire me as a business developer, believe me, I have so many connections. I can make so many things happen to make this place amazing. I mean, I have connections in the city, the state, and on a national level, not only with bicycle advocacy, with tourism, with entertainment, with corporate getaways. There's so many ways to spin residual income into this bicycle shop and to do it right with the right channels, not willy-nilly. races and you know, events. I think events could be a big business done correctly, but it's hard to do that when I'm spending 8 hours or 9 hours a day in here, you know, being a retail associate, you know. And I love that position, but right now it's just not paying me, and it's not paying me what I need. So this place could be amazing. And you know, there might be an owner that just says, "Hey, Bart, you know, you've made an amazing bike shop here, an amazing culture with the community, but I want you out." Well, let's shoot. Then I'll step out and keep Biloxi Bicycle Works alive. Keep my staff positioned as very valuable. It's hard to find the staff that I've built in 5 years. So this is turnkey operation, and then I'll just come ride bikes with the community. You know, there's a lot of different options on the table right now for Biloxi Bicycle Works. It is an amazing place to have a bike shop. So, anyway, Bart from Biloxi Bicycle Works, YouTube. Bart from, well, it's only Tuesday. My brain is dead, but I did rattle my brain on the mountain bike trail this weekend. I've gotten a pretty bad head-on accident, and I'm just now not starting to slur my words. And I won't even tell you about the body fluids that were leaking out of my face, but I feel better. Actually, I rode my bike to work today. Where is my bike? There it is. So I get to ride my bike home in just a little bit. And that always makes me so happy, ride my bike back and forth. That's 7 miles to my house, and it's a beautiful 7 miles. Hey, I got to get busy on this so I can get out of here. So I got to get some parts put on a cruiser, do some accounting, and I got an amazing ride home. So Bart from Bicycle Rider YouTube. Over and out for now. Tuesday, April 15th. Oh, it's tax day. Yeah, it's tax day. At least I got a cool job to pay taxes on.